We figured it out.
Figured it out. Great, great. I'm gonna go live quick. Okay, great. How you doing, Matt?
Good, you?
Very good, very good. Great to see you, my friend, again. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining our podcast. Thank you for taking your time. How are you doing? You feeling good?
Good, good. Yeah,
Healthy?
I'm just out working right now, so
I
yeah.
I've came home like 10 minutes ago down from work also. So yeah,
Oh,
great.
yeah, right on. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. Also, a couple of questions from club members out here in Vienna. And yeah, let's start us off with asking the first question. Is this the Matt Mask year? Started off
Uh,
great?
it's starting out to look that way, but I don't want to start saying anything. It's still pretty soon. We're only 2 months into the year,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
but it's so far it's been a really good start. For the first time in a long time, feels like everything's starting to come together again. I still feel there's a lot of progress I need to make,
yeah.
but it's happening, right? So yeah. So I'm starting to feel myself again, and things are feeling more connected. Everything's coming together. So it's good. It's good. Yeah.
No, you're looking great. Also, at East versus 10 with Frank, you looked great. You showed that your elbows is healthy, that you can also engage and go inside also. So
Yeah, as ugly as it is, and it's really got to work on that, but it's at least I can go there. It's an option, right? It's an
yeah,
option, an ugly fucking option, but it's an option. So yeah.
yeah. What are the plans for this year for you? Are you planning to go down to 110 kgs?
Yeah, 110 or 105, whatever
Hmm.
Engen determines that the weight class is going to be, that's where I plan on going. So it's just even the 115 kg class, everybody thinks I'm the bigger guy in the class, but I'm actually eating cheeseburgers, trying to make weight and
Mm,
weigh in as heavy as I possibly can, and I'm always 3 4 pounds under the weight limit. So
mm,
that's fully clothed with shoes and everything on. So honestly, it's way easier for me to cut to 231 if he goes 105 kg, and 242 is pretty much my walk around weight, right? So
mm.
that would be an easy piece of piss cut. So hey, I'd rather personally be the biggest dude in my fucking weight class as
Yeah,
opposed to one of the smallest ones, right? So yeah, so it's
yeah.
so it's looking that way. Whatever he determines, that's where I'm kind of looking at making my new home. I got a few matches coming up that will be in that weight class.
Great.
So in one of those two weight classes, whatever they determine. So
Still nothing announced, yeah?
not announced yet though,
Mm.
but it'll all be coming out here soon. So yeah.
You've been pretty much active the last year also, this year also. Are you planning on switching at doing it to full-time arm wrestling, or how
Ah,
how that gonna work out?
yeah. There's not even close to enough money in
Mm,
arm wrestling to
mm,
cover all my fucking habits. So
mm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's of course that's a dream of every one of us arm wrestlers,
Mm,
right? There's a select few that are able to pull it off, but
mm,
I got a pretty cushy job. I'm good at what I do,
mm,
and it's just for me, it's guarantee money, right? So
mm.
like if I was to concentrate everything on arm wrestling, I have one major injury or something that happens, and
Yeah.
I'm right back to square one, nothing to fall back on. I'd
Mm,
rather stay with something I know is going to be a little more stable, still enjoy it as a hobby. I'm definitely taking it more serious. I
mm.
do want to climb the rankings. If it ever does come possible in the future where I could do a full time, absolutely I'd jump all over it. But I really don't see it anytime soon in the next couple of years, that's for sure. So
Yeah, it's getting more and more possible for people to jump and do the transition from working in arm wrestling to doing it full time. But mainly it's because yeah, the state they're living in is also supporting them. Like Kazakhstan supports Morozov, or Russia now supports like Vitali and more like that, or Devon is doing his own thing, but
Well, Devin has the following and everything else to,
yeah.
plus he's got his fingers and toes and so many different shit. Plus he's the most watched, most anticipated
Mm,
arm wrestler to see on the stage. So it's, for him to show up, he gets paid a lot more than what it would
mm,
cost for me to show up, right? So
mm,
he definitely has more options where he can go that route. So
mm.
yeah. And here in Canada, it's, all the other countries are supporting the arm wrestlers. Here in Canada, it's all us working men that have to support our government's bad habits, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. We fight here up here in Austria also to like get some benefits from Austria to support us to so we can do some more things. But yeah, they set us some goals that we should do, more open more clubs, be more active, do more like some competitions or stuff, do more. But in the US and Canada, it's like I don't know any other countries that in Europe that are so much competitions, so much tournaments, so much going on in arm wrestling. And still, you guys, I mean, all of you guys deserve to do that full time. The dedication, and I switched a lot of sports in my life and been doing this active for 1.5 years, and I think no sport is this hard as arm wrestling is. Really, it's like unbelievably hard. The first year is always hard, like um, Michael said, like because of the pain and stuff. But yeah, that brings me to the next question. How often do you do actually table time in your practices?
I try to go every third day if possible, second or third
Mm-hmm.
day if I could, depending on my work schedule, but usually 2 to 3 days a week. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Tendency used to you don't have like crazy pain or stuff,
Oh no, I do. No, I do.
but this doesn't go
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, that's what I say. Anybody that continues to arm wrestle for more than 3 months are either partially mentally retarded or just stupid, right? You know what I mean? The amount of pain and everything else that you do and you have to go through in order to build to become somewhat successful. It's enduring. Even I go to do everyday life stuff and it's just my arms are fucking killing me, right? But
Yeah.
it's a love, it's a passion for the sport. That's what you got to do, right? It's more, and
Yeah.
it's more so much about not pushing 110% every time I go to practice.
Mm,
I've really come to learn, especially more in my older age, that it's all about listening to your body, right? So if you're go up to the table and it's feeling a little eeky and tweaky, then I just go a little lighter, do a little more blood flow. Once I get to that point where if I was to push any harder and I start to get them toothache pains, I just stop. And I
mm,
mean, I'll have some practices where I'll sit on the table for an hour and a half or two, and there'll be some where I'll only put in half hour, 40 minutes because I feel that's any more and I'm just going to set myself back, right?
mhm,
So
mhm,
it's as much as you can possibly do without become getting that toothache pain and where it affects everyday life where you're still kind of making gains but you're recovering enough at the same
mm,
time, everything between, right? So it's trying to find that balance, and until you've exceeded that limit and you deal with the toothache pains and everything else, how your body reacts when you're starting to come onto it, then that's where you know to adjust, right? So
mm.
so you don't know your limit till you've exceeded it, right? So
Yeah. You only train for arm wrestling, like specific arm wrestling exercises, or you also like we see some other dudes like doing also, I don't know, bench press or doing like
I
back
try
exercises.
to I
Yeah.
try to. It's more arm wrestling. Like I'd say 70 to 90% arm wrestling
Mm-hmm.
concentrated. There will be some other workouts in there as well, just because I don't want to look like a tit when I look to the beach, when I go to the beach. But it's not excessive powerlifting
Bodybuilding.
or anything
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, it's more, everything's a lot more concentrated around and towards arm wrestling, right? So why put extra weight on my body that ain't gonna
So
serve me?
no leg workouts.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that? Hey, yeah.
How are you managing to work out and like work a full time? You will work full time job, yeah?
Yeah, it's well, I'm on call, right? So sometimes I'm
Mm,
gone for 2, 3 days at a time, and then I'll
mm,
be home for a day or two, then I'm
mhm,
gone for 2, 3 days. So it'll be if I'm home and I'm able to, and it works out with family time and everything else, then I'll schedule a practice. I usually push for a practice first every time I'm home for a
mhm,
day or two, and then every day I don't have a practice, I resort to the weights, right? So
mhm.
yeah.
Great, great, great. Um, Everybody wonders, like you see now, and when we met you also in Turkey, super nice guy, super chill to talk, and then the switch happens and the wild horse comes out. How do you manage to switch? I think it's unbelievable. It's very good to do that, but not many people can do it. Some people take it like funny and stuff, but I think you're more competitive that way, and it's very good. How do you switch?
I think someone that's able to switch that on like that, it's just always in you, right?
Mm,
Like always throughout life, every day. Sometimes I just want to fucking snap. You know what I mean? But
mm,
can't you can't fucking do that
yeah.
walking around life everyday things, right? So it's more about being able to control it. So I've just come to a point in my life where I'm able to control it, and there's certain times where I get to let it out, and that is one of them, right? So, you know.
That's great. That's great. We have some guys that do that at practices also, and it's not so fun because you never know when they're gonna switch. But I think they should save it for the matches and stuff like that, and don't hurt
Well,
people.
it's one thing to have it and be able to turn it on when you need it, but when you can't control it,
Mm,
there's a different situation, right? Like I think that's one of the biggest things that's wrong with humanity and emotions and everything else. Everybody
mm,
has all these emotions running through their mind and their body all the fucking time, but if you can't control it,
mm,
what kind of a person are you, right?
mm.
So
Um, what do you think was your best form, all-time best form? You think it was in the WAL, or you think it's now, or?
I feel my best form where I had felt the best, my best performance, like I had the most potential to really do something was raid. I believe it was the 500 series with WAL when I had my first match with Marcio,
Mm-hmm.
and we ended up having that super match. That's probably where I felt one of my best that whole year. If it wasn't for the barrage of injuries I ended up going through that year, like every single match, it seemed like something was blowing apart on me. But I felt, even with all the injuries and everything I was dealing with, I felt really connected. I felt like there was no aches, pains besides the ones I had created that year. That, it was, and I was still able to recover within a short amount of time for my next match and adapt. So it was overall well-rounded. I think I felt the best, and I honestly feel I'm really starting to get close to where I was then again, and hopefully exceed it and see exactly how far I can go with it. So
How did stem cells, but because you're taking stem cells at the moment, yeah?
every opportunity I get.
Mhm. How did it help you?
Oh.
How can you explain it into details a little bit for others also to understand how does that really work? I mean, Dr. Mark explained this a little bit that like they put it in and it focuses on the, but not in like in the medicine way, but how did your body feel? The
For me, like everybody's different. Some people react instantly to it. Some people it takes time. Some people don't really notice a whole lot. Myself, it was pretty instant. Like stem cell, everything in life and everything in your body was created by a stem cell.
Mm,
Like when you see that sperm go into the egg and the light comes on, it turns into two lights, and then it turns into four lights, then eight lights, and 16. Those are stem cells. Those are stem cells creating everything that you see before you right now, right? So your body has a blueprint, and the stem cells are pretty much the workers, or is capable of turning into whatever that blueprint tells it to, right?
mhm, Mhm.
So if you have, say, a blown knee or your knee's injured or whatever, the blueprint for your body knows where how that knee should be put together and what it should be made of and everything else. The stem cell, you put it in and it'll just literally follow that blueprint and it'll turn into whatever your body needs. Sometimes it needs bone, it'll turn into bone. If it needs cartilage, it'll turn into cartilage. If it needs ligaments, it'll turn into ligaments, right? So like I like to think of it as almost like that X-Men. I think it was the X-Men, Captain America, where the nanonites or whatever, his
Mhm.
brother, had the nanonites and everything in his body would, he got hot shocked or injured, all of a sudden the nanonites would kick in and rebuild everything. That's kind of how I picture stem cells work, but obviously it doesn't happen within seconds like that. It takes time and months for it to build. So you'll get it put into your body, and for the first 9 months, it'll literally multiply. So especially with your age, especially if you're getting stem cells from a good source, like umbilical cords is the best place to get stem cells from. You can get stem cells from bone marrow and other places, but the best, purest, freshest, newest type of stem cell that wants to be created into something is ones from umbilical cords. So you get the umbilical cords put into you, and it'll literally start multiplying for 9 months. And then after 9 months later, they literally, whatever it's turned into is permanent, but they just stop producing. Eventually they turn into something or they just die off, right? So you got a 9 month period where you're literally,
Mhm.
your body is continuing rebuilding that area, right? So, and like a lot of people say, oh, if you get it, you can't work out. You can, but you got to be careful, right? Because
Mhm.
say you get them punched in your elbow, then all of a sudden you start working your brachialis a bunch and you rip up your brachialis. Well, the stem cells are going, oh shit, that brachialis needs some work too. So they'll kind of migrate a little bit to that area. You
Mhm.
rip your muscles and the stem cells will fill in them gaps that it needs to be able to rebuild it back to its original form, right? So the first couple weeks is crucial, so it really starts working on you. So and for me, like when I had got mine, like my first time I got it, my brachialis was just killing me. Like I was literally contemplating if I was even actually going to be able to continue arm wrestling. There was
Mhm.
about an 8 month period prior to it where I couldn't hammer curl anything over 40 pounds. If I did, it was just aches and pains. I twist my hand like this, my brachialis would creak and crack and pop. And I ended up going in, getting my first shot, and I was literally like, my response time was like instant. Like I got some exosomes with it that'll actually kill all the inflammation in your body and allow them swells to deflate, and then the stem cells can go in and do their work, right? And I ended up, yeah, getting it. It was like an hour after I got my shot. I'm sitting in the vehicle and it was like, my fucking brachialis actually feels pretty good. My buddy's like, there's no fucking way. And he grabbed onto my arm and I went to twist and move my hand. It was like, holy shit, like it's not even popping or creaking or cracking anymore. So for me, my first response, it was like almost instantaneously as soon as I got it. It felt good. I wanted to start pushing it, but I took it easy for the first couple of weeks before I was starting to punch through it. And literally within 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks after getting my stem cells, I was back up to 90-pound hammer curls like they were nothing, right? So, but yeah.
And how often do you have to take those treatments? You take it
Uh,
one time in 9 months, or?
you can take it one time in your life as long as everything gets
Mhm.
rebuilt properly.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're good. You don't need to worry about it, right?
Mhm.
It's not something that you got to continuously doing it.
Mhm.
But I'm the type of guy where this is really fucking good and it does a lot of
Mhm.
benefit to me. And you can't actually have too much of it in your body. So every opportunity I get, I'm like, yeah, well, this is a little tweaky now. Let's get it in here. And oh, this hurts over here. So let's put some in here. And, this one's still not quite 100%. Let's get a little in here. Right. So
Mhm.
eventually, if everything starts feeling better and they're still offering them to me, I'm going to be getting a put in my lower back and fucking my neck and anywhere that it may I may possibly could use a little bit of healing or recovery or rebuilding from working for 25 years in the oil field and everything else, right? So
That's great. That's great to hear. Yeah, we really hope to see you climb the rankings and face some. I don't want to say that the opponents you had wasn't like top of the notch. They all are. You all guys are, but see you face like Georgie or this like top super heavyweights if you go
yeah,
back to
those are
heavyweight or
super,
face.
super heavyweights, right? I
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to stay away
Don't
from that,
plan
but
going back.
I ain't that dedicated to be able to get my ass up to a super heavyweight fucking position. So, you know, yeah,
you
I
think
would
it's
sooner plug away in the 110 or 105 or
mm,
even 115 kg class and be a contender for the next 10 to 15 years and be able to put myself in a top
mhm,
5 to top 3 the odd time, get myself in a position where I'm ready
mm,
for a title match, maybe hold a title here and there. But it's, I'm looking more 10, 15 years down the road. I'd like to
yeah,
continue to still be competitive motherfucker in the sport, right? I think if I wanted to, I possibly could get myself to that point, but it's going to be, I'll be there for what, a year, 2 years, and then other health issues and everything else are going to start coming into play. And I personally think if you have somebody that's a badass, a contender, people love to watch for
yeah,
15, 20 fucking years, your name's going to be remembered on a lot longer than you would if you were number one or the best in the world for 1 or 2 years, right? Like
yes,
to me,
100%.
it's not, I don't feel it's worth it, right? I'd rather sit there through 15, 20 years of progress in the sport and watch how it evolves into, the
Mm,
different stages we're at. You know what I mean? It was UAL and WAF before, and then it turned into WAL, and then it turned into, this East versus West King of the Table thing we got going on. You know what I mean? So I'd rather build to be part of the majority of arm wrestling history as opposed to just one small little section
yeah,
of it. So
yeah, we see some guys also being like you said on the top for a couple of years and then not seeing them again, and they are
it's all
trying to come back,
self-inflicted.
but
It's how dedicated are you and what is it that you're actually is that if that's worth it to you, absolutely. Give her,
I'm
right?
thinking now
Absolutely.
110 is like Todd Hutchings. This guy's you will be huge in this category.
That's what I want to be, right? I want to be the bully in the class, right?
Bro, 110, who okay, that he can is like, but nobody's like that tall in 110 category. Nobody. I don't think
No,
you're gonna have
they're like
100% bigger
6'1",
limit.
6'2", right? So yeah. And I'm all upper body, right? I'm all hand,
Yeah.
cock, and forearm, eh? So it's, there ain't
The
no,
forearms, most vascular forearms in the whole arm wrestling community.
yeah. So it's, I'm all upper, right? My legs get my ass from point A to point B so I can drive to point C, right? So yeah.
Um, you talked now a little bit about the WAL, and I wanted to ask you, what do you think? What is the level of competitors when you look at East versus West now and the WAL? You think it's a big competition gap, or
I
how do
think
you see those two?
I think the competition in general
Mm,
has changed and evolved over the last 5 to 10 years. I think there's a lot more people that are able to take a lot more serious. There's a lot more recognition for it with, that as a sport grows and continues to grow and you get more money and everything else involved, people are able to get more dedicated into it, right? So
mm,
I believe the sport has evolved and people are stronger than they were back then. But it's not, like as for the Europeans being way better than the Americans, I believe that, yeah, there's a lot more Europeans out there than there is American arm wrestlers and North American arm wrestlers. And our way of life, it's more about work, 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 work. It's not, you don't quite have that option to be able to full time actually get involved in a sport. You know what I mean?
mm,
So especially with the amount that arm wrestling pays. So I don't think the gap is drastic between the Europeans and the Americans because look where Devin is, right? Devin's
yeah,
currently ranked number one in the world and he's been spanking people, right? You have Hermes, look what happened to Hermes when he came initially over to WL, right? He's definitely at a completely different level now than he was
yeah,
then. But
true.
everybody assumed he was one of the best top rollers in the time, right?
Mm,
So it's the sport itself has evolved, right?
mm,
It's just I believe us North Americans aren't able to put as much dedication into it to be able to evolve as quick as some of the parts of the other world are, right?
mm.
So but I think we're starting to figure it out. I think we're starting to get we're starting to do a little more catch up here now, right? So, and we'll see the next, East versus West 14 is going to be held in North America. So we'll see how much of a difference it makes, you know what I mean? When all
Yeah.
them Europeans start taking them 14, 16, 18, 20-hour flights to come pull as opposed to, a little fucking 3, 4 hour flight over the pond or being able to drive up, right?
Mm.
So we'll see how much of that actually plays a toll in, in the level, right?
My opinion is that arm wrestlers in general, sports people, to get sponsors also have to focus a little bit more on the social media aspect like Devon does. I see you focusing a little bit more, and the last time Michael also focusing, and I think that aspect is a little bit easier in the US to like get a bigger following than us guys here, because we have like a lot of languages also here. Half of Europe doesn't even understand English, so it's
Yeah.
like a little bit hard to do that. But I think in this aspect, it's gonna be more and more possible for people to go full-time arm wrestling through social media and stuff, you know.
Yeah, definitely like the language barrier plays a huge
Yeah.
part on it. And people like not to bash any Europeans or anything, but like North American Western civilization, our mentality is a lot more meh. You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
you gotta be people are more drawn to something that catches their eye. It's a little more
mm,
entertaining. A lot of the Europeans are very kind of dry. You know what I mean? Like there's
mm.
not a whole lot of sense of humor to him. Prudnik is one where you
Yeah.
know, he's got a big laugh and joke inside. He can crack
Mm,
jokes, people can cut
mm.
jokes, you know what I mean? But a
Yeah.
lot of them are very straight, narrowed, and serious, unless you're a crazy dude in the gym that's pushing super crazy weights and people want to become like you because of what you're able to do in the gym.
Mm,
Your ability to be able to create a following isn't as easy as it is to have the mentality of a Western civilization person,
yeah,
right? Just because we
sure.
kind of just don't give a fuck. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's more everything kind of enjoy it as opposed to
Mm.
serious, straight faced. So it
100%.
definitely makes it more entertaining, right?
100%. Me growing up in Serbia, a little bit, not a little bit, like the same mentality like Russian people. Everybody is like, I mean, you're not allowed to joke with your elder ones, to joke with your dad. Dad is always the like guy in the house. When dad is there, you have to be like, respectful and don't like talk some, curse or stuff, and I always wanted to come. I always watched like YouTubers, like North Americans. I always wanted to come to North America to see how it is, and live in the moment there and see how it is. And I visited the North America last year, and I was blown away. Really, like you said, the people are more like, relaxed, more like living in the moment, and don't focus like a lot of guys here are, focusing on a tradition, how it was prior, and this respect thing.
Yeah, how is it going to portray respect your elders, yada yada yada, right? Like it's
Yeah,
and
and
it's and that is one of the
good.
things that's wrong with Western civilization is a lot of these young kids just don't have respect for people that have, but you got to be able to find that happy medium spot too, right?
Yeah,
So
I believe that's the case. Like, you see it more and more here also, but it's still like in those countries like Russia, where it's like religion also and stuff, more to be like more like straight face, like, not joking that much, but you see it even more and more now. And I don't think it's ever gonna be like in the States, but we're like getting more like relaxed and living in the moment and like chasing other dreams than like school, work, and finish, retirement finish,
Well, it
people.
just still got to be like you got to like there's got to be that half medium, right? Like you were saying, it's some things are getting out of hand. You know what I mean? Like when kids are 10 years old and can tell their parents what they want to identify as and everything else, like
This is crazy.
it's fucking insane. You know what I
Insane.
mean? But like priorities still need to come in. There still needs to be work. There still
Mm,
needs to be, school and everything else. But you gotta have fun while you're doing it. You know what I
mm,
mean?
for
Like
sure.
otherwise it's life ain't as enjoyable, right?
Mm,
You just walk around wanting to throat punch everybody. So
yeah. Um, uh, get back a little bit to arm wrestling. I don't want to take a lot of time anymore from you. Like being a pure top roller, what would you say are the most important factors about top rolling, and like say some of the exercises you would suggest people do more to like be a pure top roller to do, like, because I think your top roll is phenomenal. I think also Frank Lamparelli's top roll is also phenomenal with this post and height and everything. You do it like more sideways, but it also depends a lot of the hand size because I will never top roll like you, and my hands are not so big, it's super small for my size. Also, I'm like getting near the 110s, and I'm like baby hands near to you. So what would you say is the most important things for
I,
the
I
top?
say the hand size definitely makes a huge difference, right? Being able to swallow more of your opponent's hand, you're going to have a lot more control of it. The center of
Mm,
your hand is bigger, so the more you can contain that person in the center of your hand, the more control you're going to be able to have over them. I would say the most important thing for a successful top roll is you're trying to crack people's wrists is pronation, right? If you
mm,
can build a phenomenal pronation and it's not so much cupping, but being able just to contain somebody from exposing your fingers and getting outside of the center of your hand. Those are the two most important, like being able this pressure
mm,
and this pressure, right?
mm,
So you can prevent somebody from getting out on you and somebody coming in on you. You can just take that fucking hand, right? So I'd say those are the two most important things.
do you do like hand pronation stuff, like really like hand pronation, like where you twist just from your hand, like dumbbell stuff, and people do, or you all the pronation is like based with the
It's more like it's a strap or a towel, right? Like a karate
mm,
belt with
mm,
weights tied to it, or
okay.
or a towel with hip weights hanging off of it, just getting that
Mm,
pronation, right?
mm,
Even the karate belt coming over the hand to be able to contain a little
mm,
bit of that rise, so you're not getting dumped too
mm,
much.
mm,
You know what I mean? But it's yeah, just being able to do this harder and stronger and better than everybody else can, right?
mm.
So,
That's great. We figured some training that we follow now, like the coaches also made it, and we like really follow this. Have like nationals next weekend. Some of the guys are going, some not. I had the chance to see it today at the work that I will not be able to go, but yeah, more chance to develop and grow for the next competition. I see it that way, like a little bit
yeah.
positive and the negative. So yeah. And now the last like questions, depending some of the matches that will happen at the East versus West 10. And yeah, let's start it off with Devon, your bigger brother. What do you think? Is it possible?
Right, anything's possible, right? Like we all seen after, especially after Hermes' match with Levon, how human he actually is.
Mm,
So like I do think if Devin was a little more connected, if he didn't have the issue that he had with his bicep in the
mm,
round that he pulled Levon, I think two, three more rounds, it could have started going in another direction, right? Because
yeah.
he just needed to get a stop, and his Levon just had to literally go 100% for about 20 to 30 seconds, and you can just see the gas start to fucking drain out of his tank, right? Is Devin going to come out of the fucking gates and start flash pinning Levon? Fuck no. That ain't going to happen, right? It's going to be long drawn out
Mm,
process, I believe. Levon will probably come in and make Devin look like a fool the first round. The second
Mm,
round, he'll beat him pretty convincingly. The third round, he's going to struggle. That's when everything's going to start turning, right?
mm,
You know what I mean? If he can just
mm.
get a stop on him enough, like the dude's that fucking massive. When you get that much blood into your fucking arm, it doesn't just deflate. You know what I
You saw
mean?
this guy, he
It
looks
takes time. You know what I
massive. I
mean?
think he's gonna weigh more than 190 this time. He looks
Yeah.
huge.
Like he looks strong as hell and everything already. So
Mm,
the only way he's gonna be able to is if he can straight out smash Devin 4 fucking rounds in a row. If he can literally completely out dominate and class Devin in the first 4 rounds, then yeah, Devin don't stand a
mm.
chance. But Devin won't just lay down, oh, you're stronger than me.
Yeah.
He'll work and work and work
Mm,
and grind and grind. He will work him in the setup. You know what I mean? People are like, well, that's not arm wrestling. Levon's stronger. It's like, no, it is. It is. Like half the battle of arm wrestling, over half the battle of arm wrestling is the setup and getting what you want or what you need, right?
mm,
And Devin is the master of manipulation at being able to get what he wants or he needs. And even if Devin gets everything he wants or he needs, the first round, yeah, Levon's power will probably go right through. But if he continues to get a little piece of what he wants and he needs each time, it's going to be harder and harder and harder to Levon to be able to follow through with it, right? So, yeah.
you don't think the wrist injury of Levon will play a factor? You think it's healed
It
up?
could, 100% it could, right? When we're not 100% sure if his wrist is as good as it was or if it's better, right? Because Levon ended up getting a shit ton of treatment to stem cells, and it'll be a full 8, 9 months from the time he got them to the time when he went to compete. And I know he really took it easy the first couple months. So they had the opportunity to do what they needed to do in order to be able to fix him properly to where he could come back stronger than he's ever been before. Right. But
Yeah.
the only thing is how his body took to them, how they responded to
I
him.
don't hear you anymore, I think. Just a
Oh,
second.
I can hear you
Yeah,
just fine. Yeah.
you
Can you hear me
lost
now?
the sound. I don't know why.
Yeah. Can you hear me? The only thing is how his body took to them, how he responded to them. I don't hear you anymore.
No, I hear you actually. The stream hears you, but I don't hear you. But yeah,
Oh,
now I hear you again. It's good. Yeah.
okay, that's good. Yeah, I personally think it all depends on how well his body took to it, how it took to
Mm,
his body, you know what I mean?
mm,
And yeah, it might not even, he's definitely had enough time, especially with the treatment that he got, to where it won't play an effect on him in any way whatsoever, right? Like it could actually be stronger than it's ever been before, right? Or or it could feel good, but it's just on the verge of cost possibly fucking snapping or something failing again because he didn't let it fully heal before he started pushing himself, and Devin might be able to expose it. You never know, right?
mm,
So like something like that with the treatment he got, you really don't know till the day comes, right? So
mm. Devin is keeping it very quiet. Doesn't post a lot of stuff. Like focuses, for sure more than we do. But I think I mean, for sure, this is the most important match of his
he's
career.
100% it is. This is like he actually has a feel. He knows what Levon was capable
Mm,
of. It's he's not he's not enjoying the process as much anymore. Now it's serious, right? Like
mm,
this is his chance to prove or come back for what he messed up the first time, right? So he's
yeah,
like the guy could have been in Dubai watching his boy pulling the biggest super
yeah.
match, first mainstream super match of his life, and he stayed home so he can not break his workout routine, right? So he's got like a 3 stage routine that he does 3 times a day, and him traveling a day here, a day there, a little bit of podcast stuff in between, he would have missed 3, 4 days, right? Like he doesn't want any excuses, any reasons. Well, maybe if I would have worked out one more time when I missed that day, like he's no, there's no flaws in what he's doing right now, right? So he's more dedicated 100% more more into making this happen, I believe, than he ever has before. So
I would, and a lot of people, everybody says like, yeah, Devon fans and stuff, but I would love to see the guy win against the odds, who works really for that and who came back after the loss and beat everybody. I mean, the story is also great, but I would love to see the guy who worked more and deserved it more win.
well,
That's
and that's the thing. He hasn't stopped. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like he's had a little slip up here and there, but like, I remember for the longest time, 2, 3 years ago, people, oh, Devon's avoiding the Europeans. Devon's avoiding the Europeans. Besides Gennady and Levon, he's pretty much knocked everybody off that fucking list. Like, I'd still like to see him pull Artem off. There's Vitaly yet that he's got to pull, but he's fucking backing his fucking ass up every time he goes in. He's coming home with another fucking victory, right? So
yeah.
it's even if you don't fucking like the guy or what he stands for or how he pulls, you can't take away from what he's been able to accomplish and the amount of respect that he does deserve from everybody, even if you don't like him. You know what I mean? So
No, like he said, he's really dedicated and giving himself for the sport of arm wrestling. And I think, I don't want to say Levan is not working out and or is not dedicated. He's for sure dedicated. He hasn't like gotten this power as a gift,
yeah.
but
But there's nobody that's arm wrestled as much as Devin has. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like the dude's literally taken on everybody and everybody every month and a half. He's somewhere else doing something with somebody somewhere, right? So it's, I know even for myself, like you compete, like I competed quite a bit last year, and it's, when you're only a month and a half between matches, you're not really able to make any progress
Yeah.
for the next one. You're pretty much just trying to get fully recovered for the next time you go to compete. Maybe slightly up your game a little bit, but it's not like I'm coming back next time way more stronger, because you're literally 4 weeks of trying to recover and getting yourself back to 100%. Then you got another fucking week of training, and then you're resting for 2 weeks, right? So there's not a whole lot of time in between. He hasn't really given himself much time to recover between matches, right? Like this match here will probably be the longest time it'll be since he's competed. Like he's taken a full 6 months preparing everything he can for this match, right? So
No, I'm super. Will you have the chance to come to watch it live or?
nah, I probably won't be there.
Mm,
I'm too busy. I got too much shit on the go. It'll be my daughter's birthday around that weekend
mm,
too, so she'll be
mm,
turning 21. So we got to take her to Vegas and get her to drink her face off and blow
mm.
half my paycheck in the fucking slot machine, right? So yeah.
You will have a great time for sure. Um, the second match, and I think the last, and I want to let you go after that one, is Michael coming back facing the opponent you faced not long ago, Frank. And how do you see Michael coming back and matching up with Frank?
And same thing. Like he's gotten a lot of treatment himself. You know what I mean? Where he's, right from the second he got injured, he was getting stem cells put into him, right? So how much is it going to take a toll on him? Sometimes people get their elbows scraped. It's not the same. Sometimes your body heals it up and it comes back. You got even more of a lock than you did before, right? So it all really depends on where Michael's at after watching how Michael was with Pavlo when they ended up gripping up and doing a little bit there. Like, yeah, it doesn't look like Michael's that far off. Like, he still has that stop, a sticky point. Like it almost looks like his sticky point is more
Mhm.
here as opposed to opened up as it used to be. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, it, like I'd like to see Frank come out on top. Like just because I've turned myself into a little bit of a Frank fan myself. I,
Mhm.
enjoy the guy's company, like very, very, from what I've noticed, super respectful guy.
Great guy.
Uh if Frank can learn how to transition from a top roll to a press, I do believe Frank's going to come out up on top,
Mm-hmm.
taking his hand initially right away. But if he's not able to climb through the hand and the strap, which Frank should be able to do because his post is really phenomenal. Uh, but if he can't transition and follow through with the press at the end of it, I don't know if he'll be able to beat Mike, just because you can't beat Mike with just one move. You need to be able to transition two or three different ways. And hopefully you can transition in those ways where he's not able to slip that press in, because he really does have a sick fucking press on him when he gets it engaged. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's tons of finesse to it. He's right in the right positions. He doesn't give up many flaws when he does get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll definitely be, I think, like, I'm cheering for Frank, but I honestly, my head's telling me that in the later rounds, Mike is going to gas out Frank. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Frank will have the stamina to be able to bang three full rounds. And unless he can finish it quick, I can't
Yeah.
see him, you know, can't see him being able to do it. And I really hope he does. I hope he proves us all wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Um, did you ever think about having a match with Michael?
There's been talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
There's been talk. It almost happened the one year in WL, but he was holding the title at the time, and it was like I didn't deserve it. I just finished losing my match to Todd Hutchins, and if we would have pulled, it wouldn't have been a title match. So, see if I did end up beating him, how would it have looked? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Would I have been able to beat him at the time? I Probably not. You know what I mean? I think I would have been able to make it a hell of a fucking show. I would have been able to put him in deep waters right off the beginning, but I don't know if I would have been able to have enough to finish him at the end,
Mm-hmm.
like the way Hermes did uh,
Mm-hmm.
before he entered WL. Hermes played it perfectly, right? But Michael also has developed a lot more of a pronation than he did back then. He Lots of times he would end up with his a little more opened up. His palm would be facing the roof. It's a lot easier to attack somebody when their palm's facing the roof, as opposed to being able to keep that pronation and keeping his hand in more of a positive position as opposed to his palm up in the roof, right? So Michael definitely has, even with his injuries that he's had, he's definitely he's definitely upped his ability in order to be able to come through with the Kings move. He's had a couple shitty runs there, but he's also pulling fucking monsters too. And people are kind of starting to figure out the path where to go with him. They realize you got to come through the hand, through the hand, through the hand, then transition to a press,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's where they're able to get him. If you're not able to do that, it's going to be a long day for anybody facing Michael Todd, right? Like, even if Georgie, I think Georgie would have enough to completely open Michael Todd up and get him over. But without Georgie's ability to be able to finish in a press, I think Michael Todd would actually possibly beat Georgie. You know what I mean? As
Mm-hmm.
much as right now, I think Georgie has probably one of the best, if not the best, top roller in the fucking game right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But that's it. You've never
Yeah.
seen him transition to a press. Same thing when he
He's
pulled
also
Jerry Catterett. He
stupid
had
made
Jerry
to.
Catterett palm up, facing the roof, 1 inch from the pad. He literally just needed to just transition a little bit of pressure down, and it would have been over. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing that Jerry would have been able to do, but he just continued to hang out and try to rip through and rip through and rip through. And Jerry was just sitting there, palm up, posting, and you know, preventing him from being able to finish him off. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting match, and I'll definitely see where he is coming back into it. I don't think you're going to see Michael pulling the super heavyweights anytime soon. It looks like Michael's same kind of path he's going with as I am. He's looking at cutting to that 115 kg, maybe the 105 possibly in the future. But I think Michael's probably stronger in the 115 kg than he is to cut to 231. But who knows? We'll see exactly how it unfolds when he actually does grip up with Frankie. So.
Yeah, he said when if he wins the two upcoming matches, because it's against two super heavyweights, he would also love a shot against Georgie. And if that goes good, and if Devon wins against Levan, he would love to pull Devon for the super heavyweight title, but this is, of course, too far away. But
I think that's about 4 or 5 matches down the road
yeah,
before he's in a position, right? He needs to get a win back on Ravaz, see how he does against Gennady. You know what I mean? Pull Ermes again.
yeah,
I'd like to see all those matches before just beating Georgie and then getting a shot at Devon, right? You
Hermes
know,
and Dennis.
so yeah, that'll be interesting as well. So I think Hermes is going to take it, and I think he's going to do it in a pretty dominant fashion, to tell you the truth. So
Great match, great matches, great year coming up for the sport of arm wrestling. And yeah, we're here to support you guys. Thank you, Matt, again, very much for coming and doing this with us, with me.
yeah,
So
anytime, man.
thank you very much. And I hope to see you soon again.
Oh yeah, yeah. There'll be about a 2.5 month gap here, and then
Yeah.
you guys are going to be seeing a lot of me, whether you like it or not. So
We
yeah,
love to see you. Everybody loves to see you, man. It's And the match with you and Michael, if it happens, would be, I don't know. I can't imagine a match. Maybe you and Travis would be more entertaining, but
uh,
I,
Travis Travis ain't dedicated nearly enough to
yeah, yeah.
step on the table. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you again for doing it. And thank you for your time. I hope you have a great rest of the day. You're not even middle of the day already here. We're preparing to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So thank you, Matt,
Right, man.
and hope to see you again soon. Bye
You
bye.
bet, man. Anytime.
Thank you very much.